This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
All right, welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. All of our First Alert eyes are on the tropics here today. Tropical Storm Francine in the Gulf of Mexico. Recent update came at 10 a.m. It is still a tropical storm. Winds at 65 miles an hour. You can see it's already pushing rain showers into Louisiana. That's how big and how massive this size is, and it's a little lopsided in for now. We'll talk about why that is a little bit later down the road. Heading into First Alert Weather Breakdown, but the short answer for what you need to know is it's moving northward, up into the Arklatex. Maybe not into the Arklatex directly, but into Louisiana, and eventually in areas nearby here. We're still expecting rain, regardless, here in the next few days. All right, hello. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason, joined by my co-partner, CJ Cartledge. How are you doing, CJ?
I'm doing pretty good this Tuesday morning. How are you doing today, Evan?
A little tired. A little tired, honestly.
I understand. It's a whole morning of forecasting this big old storm that's expected to move, possibly hit some parts of the Arklatex by tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, I just did the 9 o'clock show that goes until 9:30. I called it Florence.
Florence?
All I remembered was F, and then I was like, it's too late. I said Tropical Storm F, and then I was like frozen in my brain. F, what is it called?
Francine.
That was a little humiliating, not gonna lie. But
Hey,
just shows you
it happens.
it happens.
It happens. That's just how the morning can go sometimes, you know.
Yep.
But yes, it is Francine, and it is currently a tropical storm right now here, looking to move closer and closer into the Gulf Coast lines of Louisiana, maybe within the next few hours or so, and it possibly will make landfall by later tonight or into tomorrow morning.
So usually on this episode, we talk about your TikTok, you're about the TikTok game. Instead today, we're going to focus all on the tropics.
Yes.
I mean, it's quite an unusual week. We love to go all into details about this on this podcast, break it all down for you, and let you know basically all the nitty and gritty that you need to be aware of here for today. So here's how today shapes up. We still have the local forecast in for today, which does include Tropical Storm Francine. It is impacting the Arklatex here in the next few days. Kind of in the first forecast, we're going to kind of pertain to the topic of how does Tropical Storm Francine affect our local weather here in the next 2 or 3 days. Then we'll take a break, and then for our exclusive content, we're going to focus on the tropical storm in itself and see exactly where it's going, the core of the storm, which is more going off just a little bit to our east. I'll give a little hint of that right now, but we're going to be more or less kind of going over a regional forecast here for you, heading into the next couple of days and seeing where the storm is actually going in and of itself. And we'll also have a preview of tomorrow's episode, which, guess what, is probably going to be more about Tropical Storm Francine. I hope you're not tired of it. So it's still going to be here for a while to come. But, yeah, let's get in the local forecast here locally. I mean, it's a beautiful day still. It's not the same as yesterday. You were outside more recently than I have been.
Yes.
How would you describe it so far?
Well, right now, throughout this past morning, it has been mainly comfortable out there, but the humidity is set to rise maybe a little bit, not too much out there. Still going to feel mainly comfortable outside and mainly blue in those skies until Tropical Storm Francine makes its way closer towards the Arklatex.
It's going to come a lot more with that cloud cover probably later on today, which is expected. Thick layer of cloud cover with the vast size of Francine. All right, so all eyes are on that moving on forward. And the simple note for the Arklatex in regards to Francine is the track continues to move east.
Yep.
Which, east. I did that the wrong direction. East.
Yes.
But the key is it's moving away from us. We're still going to get impacts from it. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get rain. We're going to get things from it. But we're not getting the bulk of the severe threat, which is nice.
Which is amazing, especially since the beginning of this forecast, we were already projected to be on the west side of the storm, which is the lesser severe of the sides, and that's mainly because of the storm motion. Mainly on when the storm is moving northward, the right side of the storm is the most severe and the west side seems to have a little bit lesser amount of impacts. But still, we can still feel the heavy rainfall and the possibilities for flash flooding associated with this storm.
Oh, absolutely. So when the storm is on kind of the same latitude as us, I'm actually going to hide us here real quick. When it's on the same latitude as us, it should be off to our east again. So hopefully it's out towards Mississippi. Don't get me wrong, we're still expecting rain here. Locally in the Arklatex here for tomorrow, we're still calling for a first alert weather day. For the moment, the tracks have been kind of leading eastward, which has been more and more great news. It's been less and less good news for New Orleans. We'll get to that in a little bit later. So yeah, the severe threat continues to roll over off to our east, which is good news. Now, future track, yeah, we're going to go all into this. First of all, this afternoon and evening, we could get rain showers from Francine as soon as this afternoon and evening.
We definitely could. Maybe a few isolated showers out there, but these are just the outskirts of the storm as it moves closer to the area. We may get a little bit of some more rain showers through the overnight hours, but as we move into Wednesday, the rain chances start to rise for sure. As you can see by Wednesday morning, the isolated showers will look to continue possibly through the night and through the afternoon as well.
I'm actually going to hide us so you can see the core of the system and where all the bulk of the rain is, obviously way off to our east here for the most part. But there's still several rounds throughout the day tomorrow that you're still going to have to watch out for. And I think one of the big threats is I'm actually going to play this through instead of slowly going through this, mainly to show you the speed at which these storms are going to be pushing on through. I mean, look at how fast that spins around. One of the big threats in for tomorrow, which I know some people might not consider entirely, is the wind.
Yeah,
it's going to get windy out for tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, especially as it continues to potentially grow out in the Gulf of Mexico. It looks to make landfall as of right now, either a high-end Category 1 or even a low-end Category 2. But with the forecasts that have been coming out, I've been seeing it may trend even lower than that, possibly staying as a Category 1 storm. What do you think about that, Evan?
Potentially. It's definitely possible.
Yeah. What have you been seeing from the data this morning?
I think it's going to be mostly a Cat 2 is what I'm believing, because some are hinting at only Cat 1, high-end Cat 1, but there's others that are even calling for Cat 3.
Wow.
Especially with how warm the waters are. It's kind of interesting because we have a combination of wind shear trying to tune it down, but with how hot the Gulf of Mexico is right now, especially with how quiet it's been.
Yeah,
it's been undisturbed for the past month or so. So, I mean, you're getting nothing but warm fuel into this system that could even stretch it into a Cat 3 potentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Category 3 strength, that would be something serious right there for sure. That's a major hurricane strength.
Now, we wouldn't see Cat 3 wind speeds in our
Cat 3, yeah.
or even hurricane for that matter. I think the most we'd have is tropical storm winds, which is still strong regardless. It's up to 30 to 40 miles an hour with some of these gusts, especially with how quickly some of those bands were moving on through. Now, for the rainfall potential, we're going to go more into the regional aspect in just a moment. But for the local Arklatex, Natchitoches and Ruston, overall, the farther east you are, the greater chance you have at catching on to these rain showers.
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true. From most areas in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, and even northwestern Louisiana, up in the upper half of the state, may receive rain totals up to 3 inches, maybe even 4, associated with this storm, as long as you're in the middle path of the storm here. But here in the Arklatex, most of us won't see many rain showers, if possibly maybe some isolated showers as it moves through Tuesday night into Wednesday, and even as we head into Thursday, things may get a little bit drier, right, Evan?
Yes, especially in a Wednesday afternoon and evening. That is for certain as well for there. So before we get in the temperatures real quick, we're on our first alert weather day again, still for tomorrow. Even though we're not expecting too many showers themselves, the showers that do come through, again, going to be very windy and still going to contain heavy rain showers. When you combine the two of those things, it can make for a miserable drive, miserable to be outside regardless. So we still want to keep you first alert, especially in the case if this track somehow determines to go westward. You backtrack just a little bit, but it's continuing to go eastward, which is still good for now. So, yeah, we haven't talked about temperatures too much, but for the Arklatex here today, we're actually warming things up slightly with an increase in humidity. Temperatures up to around 90 degrees. Then we drop them off here for tomorrow. That's all thanks to the dense cloud layer on top of us, all from Francine, and then it starts to warm up into a hot, humid weekend here that will dictate for you in the 7-day forecast here. Again, there's that first alert weather day here for tomorrow, but beyond that, I mean, you're not looking at too many rain showers surrounding that on the 7-day forecast. We completely dry things out by, I'd say, Thursday evening. And we're looking at 2 nice sunny days here for Friday and Saturday, but look at the highs, up to 95 by Saturday. On top of that, it's going to be very humid for the weekend, so this past weekend was a treat.
Yeah, it definitely was a treat.
It was a treat.
It did not last long, sadly, but, you know, that's how the weather goes. It's always changing, and we're expecting possibly some high heat and humidity as we move into the weekend, and temperatures will be returning back to above average for this time of year, potentially, and the average is around 92, I believe. Yeah. So Saturday may be above average, and maybe even Sunday as well.
There's a slight chance of wet weather in for next Sunday and Monday, too. We'll keep you first alert about that, but that's not from the tropics, thankfully.
Yeah, yeah.
At all. All right, so that was for the impact for the Arklatex. We might even answer some questions, actually, heading into the next. I know we have people watching on Facebook and YouTube as well. Might answer maybe a question or two from there in the next segment. We're going to talk more about Tropical Storm Francine, where it's going to impact as well. I know I personally have family members down in New Orleans who are a little worried about this system for reasons, you know, we talked about maybe even Cat 3 strength. So yeah, we'll talk about the storm itself, and we'll go more over like a regional forecast. Heading up after the break, we'll talk to you after this. And welcome back to KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Breakdown. First of all, thank you guys for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. This is a new platform for the First Alert Weather Breakdown.
Yeah.
But it's for good reason. Again, we're talking all about the tropics, Tropical Storm Francine. If you do have a question, we are looking at both of the streams on YouTube and on Facebook. If you have a question for us, just drop it down there. I think we got 1 or 2 questions, I think, from Facebook already.
Yep. We have somebody mentioned that we could use some of that rain from the tropical system to help us with our drought conditions, and that is definitely true because some of us are still suffering under slight to moderate drought conditions as of right now. And even though it may hit the southeastern corner of the Arklatex region for the most part, it still is good to help with those drought conditions for sure.
Now, you don't want to do it with a flash flooding threat. That's the
true.
wrong way to do it. That's what we were dealing with from Beryl on top of the tornadoes as well.
Right.
But thankfully, we don't have that flash flood risk. We don't have that tornadic risk with this either, especially because most of that's well off to our east. I mean, that's honestly as far as east as Alabama. The Alabama and Mississippi are going to be the main states actually dealing with those tornadic threats
right.
from Francine moving on shore. So that's good news for that. So, yes, we're going to be getting rain, which will be good.
That would be good. Another question somebody had was, what about Texas and what their forecast may be? And you might as well jump into the forecast with that, right?
Yeah, I think it was about a ½ inch of rain from most of the rainfall models. I think it's mainly just on the outskirts of getting just the very edge of some of those outer bands that are pushing on through. It's a matter of those bands trying to survive going westward. Because again, if you want to look to the skies and if you want to see where the rain showers, where your weather's coming from, and look out for some of the rain tomorrow, just look east. Look east. This is actually this is physically east in the for us as well. Here at the KSLA news station, just look east. If you see any rain clouds there, they're most likely heading your way.
That's true. That's
one way to do it. There you go. So, yeah, just a few rain showers out for Texas here for tomorrow, but I wouldn't say anything too severe. Maybe just some brief wind gusts as well, but only stray showers, I'd probably say possible more for Texas. This is going to be something more concerned for northwest Louisiana. That is true. Especially. So, yeah. As I said, farther east you are, especially in the Arklatex, the more rain you're likely to get. So, yes. All right.
That's true.
Now let's get into the regional forecast. We're going to go over questions a little bit more after going over our own kind of forecast with the storm in and of itself. All right, so we talked about it mainly hitting the Arklatex, but we haven't gone into really the strength of it, where exactly it is going. We kind of just said east, but where east?
Right, exactly.
So let's look at a little more into that in particular and see what's going on currently with that system in and of itself. All right, so here is a look at the tropical satellite. We started out the show with this. It's a little lopsided, honestly. It's not your typical picture for a tropical system, so to speak.
Yeah, and it seems to look a little bit separated here as the outer bands of the storm are already starting to reach into Louisiana and some parts of New Orleans as well. And the bulk of the system is expected to make landfall pretty soon here, maybe within the next 24 to 36 hours.
Yes, that's definitely a time frame for it. Sometime tomorrow afternoon. Just afternoon, but before tomorrow night probably. See, another interesting feature of it being how lopsided it is, there's a lot of dry air kind of trapped in between the two main sections of red that you see there. Most of the circulation is right off the coast of Texas, east there, if you just see that little cloud just off to the east side of Brownsville.
Right.
But then you see that little hole, that little gap before the convection that's running right now into New Orleans and southern Louisiana. That's dry air that's basically trapped within the system itself that it's trying to let loose, which is going to allow the system to be able to reform itself and, more importantly, strengthen itself, which is what a tropical system is always wanting to do. So, kind of an interesting picture for you there. All right, now here's a look at the cloud cover and how vast it is. Again, this cloud cover goes all the way up to Natchitoches, all the way as far south as, say, Mexico. In fact, one of the interesting things about this, we had a tornado warning in southern Texas along the coastline about an hour ago. It was just to the north side of Brownsville. I think it was an hour ago as well. So, wild. And first of all, number two, the cloud cover goes all the way over almost to Tallahassee. You see on the panhandle there. So it's a very lopsided system, but huge, huge in size.
Very huge, and it was huge even starting as when it first became a tropical storm yesterday, finally finding its area of circulation. But that is pretty interesting, even on the west side of the storm. That just goes to show you that we be talking about how much lesser severe weather we're expecting as compared to the eastern side, but it is not out of the question here for sure. As Evans already said, there was a tornado warning in Brownsville this morning, which is definitely comes by
so
surprise.
Wild. It caught you a little by surprise, but we don't want to catch you up by surprise again. That's why we kind of put a first alert weather day here for tomorrow in a kind of moderation, just in case, you know what I mean?
Just in case.
All right, so here's why it's refueling itself. Warm waters. Not only that, there hasn't been a system in the Gulf since the beginning of August, I believe.
Right.
Over a month ago, I'm pretty sure, since Debbie.
Yes.
So these are undisturbed waters. They've been able to refuel themselves, get very hot. Again, tropical development, as you see there, you just need it greater than just above 80, and that's well above that mark in the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
So this is going to be the main supply for Francine starting to build itself in and around itself. Even though it's fighting dry air in and of itself, even though it's actually fighting a little bit of wind shear too, it should strengthen still regardless. And it kind of just goes to show, if it didn't have wind shear and that dry air that's actually trapped in and of itself, I mean, we could be talking about a major hurricane landfall. Definitely in the making.
Yes.
Even then, it is possible still. All right, let's get into the cone here and see exactly what we're talking about. All right, so heading into the next 12 hours or so, it should be a hurricane by the end of today.
According to the National Hurricane Center. That's what they're calling for. Category 1 by 7 p.m. tonight. And as it moves closer towards making landfall here, reaching 90-mile-per-hour sustained winds, was a high-end Category 1. And according to the National Hurricane Center, may even stay at Category 1 before it reaches landfall or finally makes landfall here.
All right, so if you notice there, this is 4 p.m. tomorrow. It's somewhere around there is going to be landfall. Now, this could very well reach a Cat 2, and in fact, I believe it still is, but basically on the intervals that it's recording, it's still between a Cat 1 and Cat 2. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be somewhere either high-end Cat 1 or low-end Cat 3 or somewhere in between right around a Cat 2. That's what I'm personally expecting. Somewhere around max around 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But also the point is, look at the Arclotex on this weather model. This is where we could be pushing rain into areas around Shreveport and even into eastern Texas as well. Then, all right, continuing on shore. This will roll into areas around New Orleans and just around the west side here for tomorrow night. This continues into Mississippi, which is why we continue to say the core of the system is out to our east, which is good news. With all of the wet weather, all the flash flooding, all the tornadic activity, all the severe weather, it's away from the Arclotex here for the most part, and it's going to continue northward here and hopefully be gone and be less of a worry for us heading into Friday and most importantly the weekend. So
Definitely.
we're mainly just dealing with this for a thick 2 days here across the region. For us here in the Arclotex for probably a solid 24 hours.
Right.
Throughout the Wednesday.
Solid 24 hours, maybe up to even 36. But by Thursday afternoon, as you can see, late Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening, we should be all in the clear away from this storm.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right, moving on to the next thing. I also wanted to mention spaghetti models as well, because you know why we keep you first alert? So, the majority of those spaghetti models are hinting at where the forecast cone is going, which is honestly continuing to trend eastward. You look at some of the eastern trends. Look at that. It's almost going right through New Orleans and over Lake Pontchartrain, as you see right next to CJ, and then continuing up into Mississippi straight northward. But you know why we continue to have a first alert weather day just in case?
Why? Because of these models.
Look at the blue
like
line.
That.
Look at the light blue
That
line.
has been pretty consistent actually since 24 hours ago at around this time. The CLP5 has been tracking this or pushing a forecast towards southeastern Texas and into the more into the Arclotex, which is why we keep looking at the models to see how they change, and most of the models are still trending towards an eastward impact of the region.
So most likely we'll stick with the forecast.
Yes.
But in the stray chance that it does meander off and follow another course, there you go. All right, here's the last graphic for this. Again, we talked about our local rainfall potential, which is not terribly much. Unless you're by Natchitoches and Ruston, then you'll probably get 2 to 3 inches, maybe somewhere around there. But the bulk of this wet weather, southeast Louisiana. On top of that, they're dealing with storm surge. Lots to be concerned about if you're anywhere around New Orleans or Baton Rouge.
And yeah, storm surge, heavy rainfall, and gusty winds as well. You can see if it reaches that 100-mile-per-hour sustained wind storm, which is a low-end Category 2, then it could produce a wind gust up to maybe even 120, 130 miles per hour, maybe up to 130 miles per hour if you're on the east side of the storm, because the east side of the storm is sharing the same wind direction as the storm motion. So that just pushes winds even farther, the wind gusts greater, as I should say.
Another thing I want to hit at, look at Mississippi. I mean, you're seeing rain totals that are almost similar to southeastern Louisiana still.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that, 4 to 5 inches, not just for a section of Mississippi, but for the entire state. This goes way into the northern part of Mississippi. This is kind of almost the same problems we had with here with Beryl, but thankfully, the bullseye is not on top of us. We're just kind of on the the edge, living on the edge, so to speak. So it's good news, but we want to obviously keep you first alert about the rainfall, about the wind. Definitely, it's still going to be windy regardless here for tomorrow throughout most of the day. So yeah, that's all the graphics we've got for you. We're going to go back to some of the comments people are saying on Facebook and YouTube. We love to answer your questions. Lewis saying the next update is at 1 o'clock. Yes, it is. It comes out every 3 hours. The last one came out at 10 a.m. It gave us, first of all, the fact that Francine still has winds at 65 miles an hour. Hasn't increased too much, was good. But it continues to shift the track eastward.
Yes.
Or, sorry, eastward. I keep forgetting
away
the mirror.
from the Arklatex.
Eastward and away from the Arklatex. I would not be surprised. I was even telling Austin this. Austin's in the other room. We were telling Austin this, and I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if land falls in Mississippi at this rate. But the way it's trending, it's been continuing to go farther out eastward. And honestly, if it continues to have this eastward trend, as it possibly does, maybe we don't even see anything tomorrow.
Maybe not.
I'm honest.
Maybe not. Well, no, this chance is still live that the outer bands could hit us here in Shreveport, which is the next question by Miss Emma Temple. Will we get the outer bands in Shreveport? We do have a high chance for getting some of the outer bands associated with this storm. And it all depends on the track here. If it pushes more and more east, we'll get less and less likely to receive any types of outer bands of this storm. And once again, as Evan said before, the threats associated with these outer bands still remain the local heavy rainfall, flash flooding possible, and the gusty winds at times. Yeah, those are the main impacts we're looking forward to here for tomorrow. I think the big things are wind. It's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow regardless. It's going to get a little more windy. Talking sustained winds, probably between 20 to 30 miles an hour, maybe up to 40 underneath some of these storms and bands that can roll on through. Right. It'll rain definitely to some extent here tomorrow as well. It's just a question of how much and a little bit of when exactly. Right. Sometime in the time frame of tomorrow. Maybe even a little bit today. We saw on the future track a little bit of some rain possible for Natchitoches, still out for this afternoon and evening. So yeah. So. Man. Just don't forget the umbrella if you're walking out the door, if you're heading to work or school. I've heard there's some schools that have been closed also. Yeah. I heard NSU, Northwestern State, has announced their school closing. So, yeah, that is definitely something. It's going to be packing a little bit of a punch for the eastern part of Louisiana. It's definitely something to be watch out for and be first alert about as well. All right, we're going to take one final break. We're going to go back from the break. We'll recap this episode, look forward to tomorrow, and we'll answer your questions if you have. We'll give you one more chance for your questions. You can submit them in the next 3-4 minutes or so before we hop off and have a good rest of our days. Enjoy the sunshine while it's still out, because it's going to be cloudy here, definitely regardless here heading into tonight and especially tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we'll see you after this.
And welcome back to KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Breakdown Podcast. It's been a long day.
Yes, it has been a long day so far.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister if you say it too fast.
That is.
KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Breakdown. Oh,
You got it.
Ooh.
You got it. You got it down pat.
That's because I was ready for it.
Yeah, you was ready for it. You know, you've been doing the podcast for a while, so
Yeah.
You out of anybody else should
That's
have
fair.
it down.
That's fair. You got that right. All right, I just wanted to say we have the comments on Facebook and YouTube pulled up. We're going to keep it still on. As long as we're on, we'll probably be on for the next 5 minutes or so. The only other comment we got so far was Gloria. Thank you very much. You have a blessed day, too. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for joining us on the stream. If you have any other weather questions, real quick, again, we'll be up here just wrapping things up here in the next 5 minutes. But just make sure your first alert, first aware here for tomorrow. Again, grab the umbrella like CJ said tomorrow. Just make sure you got a good grip on it.
Yes, a good,
Don't want to lose it.
good grip. Okay, good grip.
This might be
Hold-
one of those
hold tight.
storms where you have to put like instead of pulling the umbrella just like above your head, you might have to just put it in front of you and
As if it's a shield.
point it like a laser gun almost as a shield because of the wind.
man.
The wind racing
Yeah.
on by. It's gonna be windy here
That is
tomorrow.
It is definitely going to be windy and rainy, but you know
Yeah.
you have to decide whether you want to shield for the wind or shield from the rain. You know.
I think it's
But,
just dependent on how fast maybe you're walking
yeah, maybe
as well, or if you're just standing. Oh, if you're standing out there.
Oh man.
That's why we also call it a First Alert Weather Day. We don't want you to be out there because, you know, you can stand out in the rain occasionally on a non-First Alert Weather Day when it's just, you know.
No, humidity-driven showers or just random, but this is associated with the tropical system.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit windier for those type of storms.
So we got a comment real quick. I'm actually looked this up, actually. It says, it's Katrina. Thank you for your comment. Good morning. How about Yazoo City, Mississippi? Guess what? I got to look up where that is.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is?
I actually do not know what that is.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to look it up right now. I know where Mississippi is.
yeah, I know. We
That's
know
for
the
certain.
states.
I'm going
You
to
know,
zoom out.
cities.
Okay, it's north of Jackson. So
Okay.
just north of Jackson, which means, well, first of all, the entire state of Mississippi. You remember that whole rain,
Yeah,
that rainfall graphic? I mean, we can go back to it actually real quick right here. Here it is for you. We're expecting nothing but 3 to 4 inches of rain across the entire state.
The entire state.
The entire state of Mississippi. And Yazoo City, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, first of all, is just to the north of Jackson. Look like by about an hour or so, according to my GPS and phone.
Right.
Yeah, so just plenty of rain showers, especially because the core of that system is pushing almost right up I-55, which goes straight from New Orleans, that little blue line that goes straight from New Orleans way up throughout the entire state of Mississippi there. Lots of rain, and they're kind of dealing with the same thing we were dealing with from Beryl.
Right, because we
Yeah.
almost pretty much got a direct hit on the east side of the storm, and depending on the track, you may either get a direct hit or stay on the slightly west side of this storm. If not the west side, then you may get a direct hit from this storm, and you'll be receiving most of the heaviest of the rainfall.
Yeah. So, yes, you're going to get plenty of rain showers. Thankfully, overall, actually, with this system, I don't even think there's too much of a tornadic threat that I've seen.
Yeah.
Not crazy like Beryl. There still is one. I mean, we got the tornado warning in Texas here earlier today. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we saw. But flash flooding, certainly.
Yes.
Certainly a potential to watch out for on top of still very windy conditions overall.
Right.
So, yeah, for you in Yazoo City, Katrina, just be prepared. Definitely want to hunker down. And make sure you have enough space as well, and maybe you're not make sure you're not in a low-lying area before the rain comes. Because once it starts, it's hard to get out
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
area. That's for certain.
For sure. If you are in low-lying areas, or if you live in a low-lying area, you may want to relocate just for a little bit. Maybe stay in a hotel in a higher elevation area, or you may want to go to a friend's house or a family friend's house that is in a higher elevation area away from the storm, because flash flooding is definitely possible with this system, as you can see by the rainfall totals that are expected, not only in Yazoo City, but everywhere south of the I-20 corridor here and near I-10 as well. So definitely try to move to a more higher elevation area if you are in a low-lying area, because flash flooding is possible. And if you do have any drains near your home, make sure to try to unclog them as much as you can before the storm arrives.
Oh, absolutely. I hope that answered your question, Katrina. I appreciate that very much. Hold up. Let me show CJ. I got laughs. Got you right. Said thank you so much. No problem. We appreciate doing this every single day. And then we got one more comment on Facebook. Gloria lives in Minden. So again, the farther east you are in the Arklatex, the worse this is going to be. Let's zoom into Minden. I think this will be maybe the last question we answer real quick. Again, Minden, I believe just to the east side of Shreveport, right?
Yes, just to the east of Ruston.
East of Ruston?
Yes. I mean, not to the west of Ruston.
There you go. In between Ruston and Shreveport.
Yes, exactly.
There we go. So kind of right in the thick of that edge shade where we'll get like, what, almost 3 inches of rain that you see in Monroe there to like.
Looks to be.
But Minden itself looks to be somewhere around an inch and a half.
Right,
probably.
exactly. Yeah, and it's mainly due to these outer bands that will be running through, just brushing by the Arklatex, just moving up to the north and west as it moves through. So we can expect the outer bands of this storm in Minden and for Shreveport as well.
I like CJ's choice of words too. It's going to be running. It's going to be running.
It's going to be running
again,
fast.
don't let the wind catch you off guard either with some of these rain showers and scattered storms pushing on throughout the Arklatex. All right, I think we've answered everything. I hope that answers your question, Gloria. If you want anything else, again, the time frame for tomorrow is tomorrow pretty much. Anytime Wednesday, any of these storms can push on through. If you want to look out eastward, that's where the storms will be coming from here throughout the entirety of today, or excuse me, throughout the entirety of tomorrow here for your Wednesday. Thanks, guys, very much for watching. I think that covers it. I think we got everybody on Facebook, got everybody on YouTube covered. Yeah. All right, I think we're going to wrap this up real quick. We got, unfortunately, other things to do, other things to get to. Thank you very much for watching. For those of you just starting to tune in from Facebook and YouTube, guess what? We do this podcast every single day. Every single day? Right, CJ?
Every day. Every day during the work week.
You're not ever here every day. CJ's here every Tuesday, though. We appreciate him coming on the Weather Breakdown podcast. He also usually talks about his TikToks. Hey, you want to talk about them real quick?
I did do a couple of forecasts for the tropical system, or Tropical Storm Francine, that it is now in the Gulf of Mexico, but they're all outdated, which is why we didn't show them today. So,
that track moves so far east.
That is. It did.
That's the thing. So that was a big issue with that. Yeah, if you want us to talk about something else, especially on maybe a less severe weather day when we don't have a potential hurricane hitting our neighbors, you know. On a sunny day, we do talk about several other things. We interview people. We have fun on here. It's a blast. I interview also other meteorologists from around the region, around the nation as well. It's pretty cool. You have to stick around and watch them every single weekday at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow's episode, we will also be talking about Tropical Storm Francine, unfortunately. I wouldn't say unfortunately, but we will keep you first alert all about it because it is definitely going to be on our doorstep. I think Thursday is when we're going to start to go back to our normal schedule. Sorry to your TikTok, CJ.
Hey, it's all good. I'll have new ideas for it next week.
There you go. It just sends it, gives you a free week with that one.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right, I think we're good here. I don't see any more comments. I still checked it one last time. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Stay safe out there. Stay first alert. Stay weather. Again, tomorrow's still first alert weather day. We'll keep you up to date on all of our shows throughout the rest of the afternoon, throughout the rest of tomorrow as it comes on through. You stick with us, KSLA News 12. Thanks again very much for watching the First Alert Weather Breakdown podcast. I will see you with more coverage on this tomorrow at 10:30. Again, thanks, CJ, for joining me.
No problem. And don't forget that umbrella.
Don't you? You have to shield it from yourself with the rain
like
and the
this.
wind. Watch out for it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.